Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, she went from personal assistant to leading a department here in Dallas for an iconic insurance company that dates back 129 years. Her incredible journey just ahead. That sounded...
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I love grit and determination. Everything that I've ever achieved in this world has been through hard work. I always said to myself, man, I'm not the most handsome guy in TV news, or I don't have that baritone voice that Tom Brokaw has, but I said nobody is ever going to outwork me. And I took that same philosophy into the PR arena and podcasting and now a television network. And so that's why I invite other doers on the show. And that describes my next guest perfectly. Bayle Francis. She is with an iconic insurance company. It's called March McLennan Agency. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanit's for having me.
Yes.
It's really an honor to be here. I kind of had imposter syndrome when I got your message because it doesn't feel like this is something I should be doing.
No, you're perfect. The camera loves you. I mean, this is I want to start with kind of your journey. So, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Gilroy, California, Bay Area, if anyone's familiar. Just south of San Francisco. Loved it there. My dad's in the flower industry, also a doer. I come from a family of doers. My grandpa is a cattle rancher. Dad has taught me to work hard to get what I want and to succeed in this life and to help others. And those are the tenements that I live by. So I moved to Texas as a sophomore in high school to College Station, Texas. I am an Aggie.
Yes,
Gig 'em. And finished up high school there. That was a challenge in itself, a little bit of culture shock for sure, but I loved it. It was great. Then I went to Texas A&M. I led with the lead there, but went to Texas A&M, graduated with my degree in community health and a minor in business. Wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I thought at the time that I wanted to do healthcare administration. My dream at the time was to become the CEO of a hospital.
Cool.
Didn't know how to get there, but I was going to do it. I got a job right out of school with St. Joseph's in College Station. I had the opportunity to open up a sports med clinic. Wow. I played sports my whole life too. You can't see, but I am almost 6 foot. So
I can attest to that. He owns 6'5".
Yeah. So I knew that would be something I was very intrigued by, and was able to work with a doctor who had just finished up his residency in Ohio. And I wore every hat in that clinic. I was the medical assistant. I ran the office and helped with the orthopedic surgeons that we were attached to because the clinics were together. I did that for about 6 months and had a great relationship with my manager, and didn't know if that was exactly what I wanted to do or if I should look into other avenues. I was only 22 at the time, just turned 22. And I knew that I had nothing but time in front of me. And so I kind of let God make the decision, and he opened a door. Oddly enough, I got a random LinkedIn message from an Aggie, kind of like you did with me, who said, hey, there's a unique opportunity to work for a family in Fort Worth as their assistant and nanny. And had no idea what that was going to lead to, but it was one of the greatest adventures of my life. I took care of the 3 youngest children, and then was also their assistant, the family's assistant, doing, daily chores and tasks. And it sounds, I don't know what the right word is, but it was a lot of hard work. I was working a lot and learned so much from a man who has, again, built his company from the ground up. He owns a large investment firm in Fort Worth, and I'm so grateful to him for teaching me the skills that I have brought into every role since then. I wrapped that up in December of 2020. I was contracted for 2 years. So I went through the pandemic with that family, and seeing the way that they handled it was amazing. And me and the house team really worked together and got through it. Lots of tests. I think I lost some nerves in my nose after that year from so many tests. But we made it happen and made it work. And I got to travel to some incredible places I would never be able to go to: Israel, Jerusalem. Wow. Got to see where Jesus walked, and it was just amazing. So when I finished that, my family hadn't seen me in a while because I worked so much. I worked weekends and holidays. I never saw them. And so I moved back home for about a month, traveled a little bit, spent some time in Colorado, love the mountains. I'm from California, so had to go back to the West Coast or close, and then started looking for another opportunity. And I realized that I was good at this executive assistant gig. I was quick, I was efficient, I can get a lot done in a little amount of time, similar to what you guys did, what you told me about yesterday. And so I applied for a couple different jobs, and I had an opportunity here in Dallas or in New York City, two very different places.
Yes.
And ultimately, I knew Dallas was where I wanted to go. I've always seen this city as somewhere that is just where people make it happen. It's where successful people go. And so I knew this was where I wanted to land. And so I joined Marsh McLennan in March of 2021 as an executive assistant to our office president and 2 regional vice presidents. And then about a year into that, 2 of my executives that I was an executive assistant for wanted me to work for them exclusively. And so they came to me with more opportunity. One was more leadership focused, and the other one was operational. And at the time, I thought operations was really interesting, just making things work and seeing how our company worked. And so I went the operations route and learned so much. Shout out Dan Prescott. He's an incredible employee benefits broker with Marsh McLennan, and he is still my greatest mentor today. I have a lot. I thank him for a lot of my skills and what I've learned. And then last September, I think you get where I'm going with this. I like to be challenged. I don't like to be stagnant. I like to be constantly learning. I just had a coffee meeting this morning where we connected over that. I just want to learn all the time. I read a lot. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm done with this executive assistant work. I want to try something new. And what's more challenging than going into a production role, which is we call our salespeople producers. Because I am not a salesperson. That's not what I do. I'm a relationship person. Sure. I like to talk with people. I like to learn about what they love and what their interests are and their families. Those are the things that really drive me. And so I started on the employee benefits side, actually, after a lot of thought, and then in trying to learn as much as I could and be a sponge about the things that make up an employee benefits package, which if you know anything about group benefits, it is complicated and getting more complicated by the day. And I was meeting with the directors of all of our departments, one of whom was our private client services department, which is personal lines insurance. And the director at the time and I had worked together on a couple projects. Shout out Katrina, she's my director. And she offered me the role to produce for the private client services team here in Dallas. Wow. That's never been a position before, but they had been looking. And the thing about my role is that you have to have good relationships internally. You have to have good relationships with the other producers because so much of my business comes from them. And so I prayed about it, talked to my family about it, and realized that this was the path that I needed to go down. It was another door that God opened for me, and I walked through it, and I've been doing that since.
I love your hustle. I mean, you totally remind me of a younger me. So I want people to have some perspective. This is an iconic agency. Again, it goes back 129 years. We found a great video that the company created. Let's go ahead and roll that.
The saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither was March McLennan Agency. But becoming a $3 billion insurance industry rock star, all it took was 15 years. Our strategy was simple. Combine the strengths of the regional super brokers and the niche expertise of local power players with the global reach and stability of Marsh McLennan to create an organization that just can't lose. A decade and a half later, We're more than 100 legacy agencies strong, adding new talent, capabilities, and solutions every year to help businesses and families prepare for the future, protect what matters, and build the confidence to thrive. We are 11,000 of the industry's best and brightest in over 200 cities and towns across North America, working together to raise and set a new bar for our clients, for our communities, and for each other. It took us 15 years to get this far. Imagine where we'll be in the next 15. Marsh McLennan Agency. Your future is limitless.
Wow, I was blown away by the size of the company, and how do you stick around for 129 years? You don't stick around.
Got to do something right.
You got to do something right. And so they're
Right.
attracting very talented people like yourself. Let's talk a little bit about company culture. So what does it feel like to work there?
I can't imagine working anywhere else in insurance. I think if I were to leave Marsh McLennan, I just wouldn't be in insurance anymore. The people that I've met have become not only friends, but they feel like family. I have an office mom, shout out Pam from the benefits floor. She's wonderful. I've actually made my very best friend in the world, Mallory. She is in marketing. Incredible. She just got a promotion. Shout out Mallory. And I have just grown to love this company so much, and I get almost emotional thinking about it because I can't imagine my life without the people that have been placed in my life because of Marsh. And I'm just so grateful to have been given the opportunities that I have been. We have so much fun, and I think it really is, you get what you put into it. And that's the case with anything you do. It was that way with sports, it was that way with my previous roles. And if you have a good attitude, everything gets a lot easier after that. And MMA gives everyone the opportunity to grow in the way that they want. I created my own role before this as an operations specialist with Dan, and now as a private client services producer, this is a brand new role for Dallas. There are others in the nation, but I am the first one in Dallas. And they recognize talent, they encourage you to grow and to push yourself, and my mentors have continually pushed me. I never thought I would become a producer. That's just not something I thought I was capable of. And they have poured into me over and over and over, and I hope that I get to continue to do that for others that are coming into this business. It's it's wonderful. Yeah.
You're such a wonderful evangelist for the company. I found another video that really speaks to company culture. Let's go ahead and roll that video.
Culture is everything for us. It's the feeder for engagement. It's the feeder for inspiration. If your colleagues aren't inspired, if they're not happy, if they're not engaged, they're not going to do great work. And you can be an aspiring great business, but if you over-index towards things like structure and financial results and forget about culture and colleagues, everything else is going to fail eventually. And so we index very heavily towards culture, making sure our colleagues feel super engaged, super supported. One of the things I'm most proud about is our colleague engagement score of a 91. And it's hovered between a 91 and 89 the last 3 years, and that's world class. Our colleague turnover is around 6%, which is also world class. So our colleagues are choosing to be here, and they're choosing to be here for a reason. So producers who come into our organization come into a business system that is going to provide unmatched support for them to have their greatest careers. When a lot of companies are feeling a lot of pressure and managing headcount, we are all in and investing to grow.
Wow. Well, you talk so much about your mentors, and now I'm assuming you're going to be in a position to mentor others. So what do you want to say to that new generation of employees that is just coming out of college, just coming into the workplace?
Wow, so many things. But to start, I think it's important to remember that you are your worst critic, your harshest critic. I can speak to that more than anyone else. I never believed that I could get to where I am today. So if you think that you want to do something, if you're passionate about something, go for it. I went to leadership when I knew I wanted to do something different. And I don't know I guess they saw what you kind of see in me and they said, go for it. And so just know that there are people that will be in your corner that will help push you and guide you and direct you. And you can have everything that you want, and you can be as successfour as you want to be.
Wow. That's a beautiful way to end.
As Marsh would say, your future is limitless. Our marketing team would want me to say that.
High five. You are so wonderful. We're almost out of time. So final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
I am always open to connect with professionals in the Dallas area, but I can write business anywhere in the nation. So
Nice.
Please, and internationally too. We have offices everywhere. So just know that I am available to talk. I love to get to know people. I love to hear people's stories. It's been an honor to be here today.
thank you. You're very kind.
Oh, yeah, I feel it's major imposter syndrome, seriously, guys. But it's been wonderful, and I'd love to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn. That's really my main social media, Facebook, but I feel like that's kind of, us millennials are like moving to Instagram and all those other things.
Wow. Well, that's how I got a hold of her. Let's end with the company website. It's MarshMMA.com, the great Bayle Francis. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.